Exactly.
and understanding of this regional
Okay, we're live, I guess.
map.
Yes, yes.
Great. So, good evening, everyone. Today's webinar is the second webinar in the sessions of Democratic Agenda, and we're talking about cultural dialogue and challenging times. We have our amazing guest with us. This is Tigran Amiran. This is Anna Chistoserdova and Medea Medravelli. I'm going to be moderating this discussion tonight. My name is Anna Rabashenko, and in this case, I represent Culture for Democracy, an initiative that has founded as a result of the repressions of culture in Georgia. And now we're still in protest, still going on, and still fighting for the democratic societies and democratic world. So I'd like to ask you all, like to start with Tigran, maybe you to introduce yourself to the audience, and then we continue with the discussion. Please, Tigran.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thanks for inviting to participate in this conversation and to be a part of this program with very interesting and important title, Culture for Democracy, which is one of the statements of my organization. So I represent my organization, which I founded many years ago, 8 years ago, Cultural and Social Narratives Laboratory. It's the cultural and cross-sectoral organization based in Armenia and Yerevan, and we do a lot of different things. First of all, we started as a memory studies organization to change the situation in this landscape of memory studies and memory practices in Armenia and in South Caucasus. And one of the statements we shared, I remember like 8 years ago, it's the democratization of memory landscape in the South Caucasus. So thank you so much for your invitation, and hopefully I will contribute in this conversation about the importance and the needs of cultural dialogue.
Thank you, Tigran. Anna, I would like to ask you.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you for invitation. My name is Anna. I'm originally from Belarus, but last 5 years I'm in exile and based in Berlin. Until end of 2020, I was running with my colleagues the main independent contemporary art gallery in my country. And for us, the question of dialogue and democratization was like the only issue to create a civic society in our country. But since I was forced to flee the country, and now I'm representing Ambasada Kultury. It's also Belarusian cultural NGO established in Lithuania. And we mostly work with projects aimed to support artists and cultural workers in need, mostly from Ukraine, Belarus, Georgia, Iran. Unfortunately, the number of countries with people who need some support are growing up. So, and I also will be happy to contribute to our conversation, looking forward for our dialogues. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Medea, please.
Thank you, Anna, for inviting me. I am sure today discussion will be very, very interesting because topic is very, very provocative and interesting, of course. So my name is Medea Medravelli. I'm from Georgia. My background is I'm a Hellenist. I studied Hellenistic studies in Tbilisi State University. I worked under the Ministry of Culture for many years, and I was leading one of the most important and interesting institutions as Georgia National Book Center was. And the main direction of this organization was to promote Georgian literature abroad and to promote foreign literature in Georgian translations locally. So one of the best and important projects of my life and the best project of all Georgian writers and publishers was when Georgia became guest of honor in Frankfurt in 2018. So Georgia National Book Center, me and my organization with my partner cultural institutions in Georgia, we were leading this project. Now I am founder and director of NGO Literature Initiative Georgia, and I'm involved in local and international cultural and literary projects.
Thank you, Dea. Thank you all. As you probably noticed, there's a really interesting group of people, and I hope that the discussion will be even more interesting and exciting. Let us start with the concept. What is cultural dialogue? Often people somehow, not only in so-called developing countries like we consider ourselves, like in the leading countries as well, in Europe, in Central Europe, in States, and some other countries, there is this misconception of the culture concept in principle, in general, and whether we have this concept of what is the connection between the culture and the politics, and how we can distinguish the cultural dialogue in general, whether it affects the conflicts, it affects the politics, how we can deal with these, and let's start up with the discussion. Maybe Tigran, especially based on the recent events in Armenia that we've been really looking forward, and the results of the elections are very, very promising for all of us as well. It affects us as well because the situation is pretty crucial for everyone. And maybe you can start with the concept in general and give us some simple examples from your own experience.
Thank you so much, Anna. I think culture and cultural dialogue, it's something personal, first of all, and personal to me. And you see the results of this personal experience to be in very different and diverse dialogues in this cultural landscape. Because I remember how I met you during one of the projects I implemented in Georgia, in Tbilisi, many years ago. And then I remember Medea from another conversation about literature and your activities and when you celebrated this Frankfurt, your pavilion in Frankfurt. And I'm constantly in cooperation and co-creation with Anna. So it's the map of different like dialogues and co-creations and collaborations in our region, and it is kind of normal situation for each cultural practitioner today. So this is something personal, and so this is something very normal and usual to be in dialogue. And culture itself, it's the dialogue. And it is very interesting and very nice to start this conversation as an Armenian, because we are a very small country. And when you are looking into map of Armenia, we are quite isolated country, geopolitically isolated, and because we have very complex situation with our neighbors. We have many years trauma and non-dialogue situation with Turkey and long borders with this country, or the biggest country in our region. And then we have conflict and post-conflict situation with Azerbaijan, and again, non-dialogue situation. And always we do some, memory projects about we are using memory about some dialogue from our past with Azerbaijanis and with Azerbaijani cultural practitioners, but not in these recent decades, because we are again isolated and divided because of this conflict. And we have some part of our borders and our neighbors, it's Iran. And unfortunately, because of this non-democratic situation in Iran itself, inside of Iran and political regime in Iran, we don't have any dialogue with Iran. The only small window always for Armenia was Georgia. And of course, Georgia was not only very good neighbor, open for dialogue and for conversation and for some exchange, but also Georgia was a regional platform. And now, because of this situation with Georgia and the inside of Georgia with the political situation in Georgia, this is let's say painful for Armenia and for all countries in the region. So first of all, this isolation, which creates kind of very clear needs to be in dialogue, to continue some kind of conversation with neighbors and to have some regional exchange. But at the same time, again, being Armenian, that's mean, first of all, so to have some experience of being in dialogue because of our diasporic culture. And for Armenia, you know, it's always like both sides of this isolation. From one hand, we are super isolated geopolitically, regionally, but from another hand, we have very big experience of being in diaspora, and it is impossible to be absolutely isolated. So we have conversations, collaborations with different cultures, with different languages, and so Armenians, that's not only Armenians purely like as a representatives of one culture only. It's diverse. So maybe this multi-layered situation is it is something natural and normal for me and for my country. And Medea, she mentioned her background, literature, and my background also from literature. And I think we share this idea like literature is dialogue. And when we have monologue only, it's not like fully representation of the literary map and our legacy, our literary legacy. And culture also, it's the dialogue itself. So it's something normal and structural for culture. So maybe for the start, it's enough, and my colleagues, they can continue to add something about the situation.
So do you think
Yeah.
it can be like, of course, dialogue is based on the personalities and the personal identity in effect, but does it also reflect somehow and build up on the identity of the national identity, and if it helps the shaping the national identity or vice versa?
Yes, I mentioned this isolation issue, which I love to develop and to do some analysis of this isolation and non-isolation of the countries, especially of my country. But at the same time, I remember the question of one of the colleagues from Nordic countries. Once we shared like experience of doing some dialogue program with Georgia or with Azerbaijan or with Turkey, and someone from audience in Sweden or in Denmark asked why we have to support dialogue for your small countries far away from us. Why? Where is the needs of this kind of support or continuation of this kind of dialogue? So I have to say, cultural dialogue. It's first of all, it is a kind of decolonial practice. Also, it is very human and humanized by practices, but also decolonial, because many projects we do together with Georgians, with Turkish colleagues, with Belarusians, with Ukrainians. The statement and the core and the background of this project, so we do in this independent period after the collapse of Soviet, to know each other better, to know each other beyond of the stereotypes created during the Soviet time, because we have only this legacy of huge stereotypes about each other. Unfortunately, no one in Armenia knows about contemporary art in Georgia or in Belarus. No one can mention some contemporary artist or some new literary genres or some writers in your cultures. The same situation, I think, in your countries. No one knows Armenians in this independent period. So unfortunately, we share sometimes only the stereotypes and Soviet anecdotes created by this big colonial state, but by empire, which is, you know, from one side, like it's about friendship of the nations, but inside of this narrative about friendship, we know all these toxic relations and these non-equal relations between nations. So that's why to know each other by the new and to know each other better in this contemporary art field or contemporary literature field, it is really decolonial practice. That's why I believe decolonization, it's not something political only. First of all, it's cultural, and it's cultural some action for countries and for cultural practitioners in each country.
Thank you, Tigran. So, while touching these elements of the hybrid war and using the culture quite widely, and I would like to address to you, like, do you experience this very much in Belarus, the recent period, and you've been forced to go to exile, and maybe you can share like your experience with us as well.
It's interesting because since I started to work in culture since 2004, for us, building this cultural dialogue with foreign countries and foreign professionals was some kind of strategy to create and to get more strong our professional community in Belarus. And it was interesting because usually we, as especially Tigran mentioned this colonial, decolonial discourse when we had, this international experts who tried somehow to teach us how to make culture better. But especially after 2020, I think that situation changed like 400%. And now it's just one short example. I was like really curious because it was a conference related to transatlantic cultural dialogue organized in US last year. I was attended and especially shared our experience how the cultural institution and contemporary art gallery can become one of the main hubs for civil society organizations in Belarus, and our different projects related to capacity building and to somehow public discussions of social and political issues, even in our not, let's say, easiest circumstances in political regime. And I was like really surprised to have a question or even comment from the audience, because one of the visitors of our presentation just said and asked me, could you please give us advice how to survive and how to deal with dictatorship? And for me, it was, something really interesting, because how in like just few years, your position can totally change for someone who can really share your experience and to give some advices of surviving of independent cultural field. And I'm really happy that for 17 years of my work in Belarus, me and my organization created a very strong network of the personal relations as well, the institutional relations, which gave us after that very big possibility to survive somehow. But I also wanted to mention that in our case, because I think that by statistics, if we will talk about, let's say, cycle of people with whom I've been working previously, fled the country, some of them still be in the prisons. But what we are doing now, we have to build the new dialogues. First of all, we in those countries where we migrated, and I think in Georgia, you know very well how many Belarusians went there after 2020, then 2022. Then we also have to build a new strategy about how to create the cultural dialogue, because I think, know that the Belarus also recognized as a co-aggressor country. And in this case, we also have to build some strategy how to present us as a Belarusian nation or people, not as a part of Putin war in Ukraine and not as a part of Lukashenko power, which is also not an easy process, I have to say. And later I would love to share the few projects which are dealing with this kind of problems. And the third, I wanted to mention that I think that cultural dialogue between those who are on the other border of Belarus and with those who still exist and live and work in Belarus is also very crucial, because for us it's also issue to preserving culture. At least many archives were destroyed or now somehow destroying in nowadays Belarus. And this dialogue within Belarusian society, which now really separated by border, also very important in, let's say, keeping our culture alive. Because as you can guess, we are on the very high wave of Russification again, which is not the first time in our history. And I think that these three main issues which we are facing now for Belarus is just to, first of all, to continue to be connected with each other within the Belarusian professional field. The second, to create the new links with the professional communities in the countries where we are living now. And the third, to create some kind of new narrative about who we are as a Belarusian citizens regarding our, let's say, civic or political position. Thank you.
So you think that, in fact, whatever you do, like this, you mentioned, that was very interesting for me, like when you mentioned that it's not only the dialogue with the outside audience, but it's a dialogue with the Belarusians, those who stayed within the country. Which you think that how you achieve this, like what do you think this helps to preserve, of course, the core of the identity of where the Belarusian country and culture stands in reality? Because for me, like personally, the culture and the identity is pretty much connected. It's basically like one leads to another, and like how you achieve this, and is in fact it's kind of like you're. In fact, you do like somehow you archive it partly, you kind of preserve something, but on another hand, you also have to develop it in a contemporary way because you have to address the contemporaries, you have to address the needs, you have to address the changes in what are happening in the world. So like, how is it? Probably it's kind of very difficult because they're multitasking. And what do you think? Like, how do you achieve that? Maybe you can just give like some examples, like how it works.
So we just have like two examples from the projects we're realizing. First, it's called Open Museum, which is an initiative of, let's say, establishing the, for now, nomad model of future museum of contemporary art. And what we are doing in that case, we are first of all started to release podcasts about the history of Belarusian art. With also comments from inside. Unfortunately, it's usually anonymous, but it's also understandable. And this year, we also started to work on the project where we will try to create a sustainable community of researchers and curators who will work together on publication about the history of Belarusian contemporary art 2015-2025 and its collective work. Thanks to new technologies, it still be possible to find the secure channels to be connected with those who still be in Belarus. It's a very big pain that sometimes the brilliant texts and research publications couldn't be openly named with the authors' names. But at the same time, I think that it's much important now just to do it, do this job. And another example, for 2.5, almost 3 years, we've been organizing the project which was called Perspective. We created with our Belarusian diaspora organization in Germany, which is called Razam, the quite big network of cultural organizations across Germany and Poland who've been interested to host Belarusian cultural workers from 1 to 3 months residencies. And also it was possible for those who still live and work in Belarus to go to the residencies to produce some art productions they can't show openly or can't work on in Belarus. So it's a very complex stuff. So I think that that's why we are working in culture. We always can find some solution and way how to get our aims, because I'm strongly believe and happy that almost all the people who works in culture, we are the big fans of what we are doing. It doesn't matter it's paid job or not, because we truly believe that culture is the basis of our life, and without culture, it will not exist any kind of human nature, I think. I don't know if I was like clear in my answer, but
Yeah, I guess at least for me, if there will be any questions, I hope that they will be coming on online.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And Anna actually mentioned that this is basically culture is kind of an alternative language. It's a language that gives us the possibility to reach out to those people and to those communities or find out some new connections between the societies or between the different groups of people or polarized groups of people, whether the politics or any other forms of communication maybe are not working. So there, what do you think? Does it really works like that? And can you give us some examples based on like your own experience? Besides like this international communication, and of course the Frankfurt Book Fair was also pretty much important and very much shaped and presented the reality of what is like a Georgian identity to the East. Exactly like Anna and Tigran mentioned, that not really everyone knows. Like there is a need of supporting the dialogue of our small nations, because without this knowing who we are really and who are those people, we can't have a really proper dialogue, because it will be just a fake dialogue. It will be just a discussion without not going into the concept. So maybe you can give us some personal examples of like how, if this works and how it works.
So I totally agree with our speakers that really after collapse of Soviet Union, our countries were in some kind of isolation, and we really needed to find new ways and to build new bridges to understand the rest of the world, and also show them that we are here with our own identities, with our own language, our own culture, and we are not the part of Ruski Mir, Russian world. So it was really very, very challenging. And now I would like to share some very small examples from that very interesting, but also very painful years when we were trying to push Georgian literature abroad and to promote our writers in different foreign languages, because it was very, very hard process. Because you know that politicians think that in cabinets they are sitting and discussing some nice political stuff, but in reality, if we will not build bridges between people on different social levels, it's very, very difficult to say that we are part of European arena, or we have European identity, and that's why European countries should understand Armenians or Belarusians or Georgians. Yeah, no, on political level, it is not enough. I remember when we were knocking with Georgian publishers, knocking foreign publishers' doors to present them and interest them with Georgian writers and titles. I'm talking about modern, writers and titles. Sometimes some representatives of some publishing houses, they were asking, so Georgian writers are writing in Russian, yes? And we were explaining them that we have our own alphabet, unique alphabet, and we have our own language, and all Georgians in Georgia are speaking in Georgian language. So we really needed time to destroy this Soviet, let's say, stereotype. Once I remember, so how important books are, once I remember we were sitting in Frankfurt nearby Alter Opera, and one elder couple were listening our discussion. We were talking in Georgian, and they came to us and asked, what language are you talking? And we answered them that it's Georgian. And suddenly they were surprised and asked us, you are from the homeland of Nino Haratischvili. Nino Haratischvili is famous German Georgian writer, and she is bestseller writer, not only in German, but worldwide. So everybody admires Nino, and everybody decided to travel to Georgia thanks to Nino's book, to discover Georgia and to find these nice, interesting places, what Nino was describing in her books. So I think that we don't need many arguments to say and to understand what's important role culture has in cultural dialogue between different societies, even in conflict formats and situations, but also to present your country, to make more understandable your country. Yeah, now a couple of days ago, a great Iranian French writer Marjane Satrapi died. Yeah, in age 56. And when I read her book Persepolis, I really understand what in reality in Iran was happening. Yeah, so I really understand and shared all these pains that women in Iran were where they were living with these problems and with this pain. So culture, literature, art really helps us to see each other, to feel each other, and I think that voices of writers and artists should be heard, and we cultural managers, governments, cultural institutions, I don't know, different foundations should really invest and support all these important initiatives that makes our countries and our societies come closer.
Thank you, Dea. While we've been mentioning conflicts, I would like you also to address the other project that, as far as I know, that you've been doing. If this is possible, to briefly talk about this and whether you achieved some results and what you can count as a result.
So after leaving Ministry of Culture, and Georgia National Book Center was unfortunately closed for some political reasons, me and my colleagues and my friends, we decided to invest our knowledge, our experience in one very important topic, and it is Abkhazian and Georgian literature and writers from Abkhazia and Georgia. So the situation was really very challenging because after collapse of Soviet Union, this isolation deepened, yeah, and this alienation was increased. So we really needed to find the right ways to communicate.
Sorry for interrupting you, but those who are listening and those that don't know what is like the situation between the Georgia and Abkhazia, I'll just briefly tell that after the war in 90s, the country being divided, and Abkhazia represents one of the parts of the country that is, according to Georgia, we call it like occupied territories. And besides that, the Georgia, there have been a lot of refugees coming from Abkhazia. Secondly, in 2028, in the open Russian aggression in a convention war with Georgia, they occupied a little bit more territories. But of course, Russia is the only one country that recognizes the Abkhazia's independence, with a few more other countries, but not the civilized world. But just briefly about the situation. So there were connections almost lost, and there were only few like families who could have keep up some connections.
And this alienation is deepening, you know, Anna, and it's very sad that understanding of the role of culture on governmental level is not, you know, serious, because they don't fully understand what culture how culture can contribute in this dialogue, because now we are challenging totally different problem, because now in opposite side, now we have new generation, and they are totally under Russian influence, and they even don't speak Abkhazian. And we are not talking about Georgian language, of course, because they don't know even Georgian and Abkhazian. They mother tongue, yeah. So, and we really needed to find ways to communicate with them, because it's very interesting audience, very interesting and promising writers and artists. And we decided to find ways from totally different focus. Yeah, in the middle of the project, we put, let's say, female actors, cultural managers. Why women? Because their communication is more balanced, and they are really very effective in peace talks. So we really worked with very good team from Abkhazia, mainly with women cultural managers. And also, our main focus was to suggest them something concrete, not just nice talks about peace and about friendship, yeah, but something that they could use in their professional life, yeah, and they will receive this as a benefit. So we suggested them to help them to be promoted in international on international levels. So we created collection of stories, and we translated these stories in German language and published in Germany, and we had presentations in Germany. So we created for them a platform, yeah, to communicate with wider international audiences. So it was also very important key in our hands to show them that we really want to share our own experience and network with them as well. And the last very important component was that we were not suggesting them that, you see, we have a nice initiative and let's come and join this project. No, we were just initiating the general idea and asking our Abkhazian participants to work together to create the project, to become the part of this creation, to show that we are on a similar level, let's say, yeah. So it was also very important component in communication, and I think we succeeded in our projects and activities, and we implemented more than 15 projects during 4 years. So it was really very big success.
Thank you, Dea. Thank you. It's really an important thing to know, and this is definitely an example how we can deal with it. Tigran, I would like to go back to you, since you also partly touched the effect of the cultural identity and basically the possibilities of the cultural dialogue. Whether we also see the tendencies that unfortunately are the same tendencies that are used in a hybrid war and been used by the Soviet Union previously, now is widely used by the Russian Federation, the weaponizing the culture field basically, and using as a strong stakeholder of the propaganda. Whether you think that how can we actually, as an independent actors and the representatives of the different democratic culture field, can we actually sustain this and confront it basically with the culture that actually fights against this propaganda, and whether it has enough power when we're fighting this huge machine, let's say?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if we can be like strong in this very unequal conflict between this propaganda machine and independent culture or pro-democratic cultural field. But we should do it, I'm sure. And so my experience of doing some cultural dialogues and organizing cultural dialogues let's say it's the example of this kind of creation of counter narratives and counter platforms for continuation of some kind of open and transparent dialogue between communities and societies in this very conflicting and turbulent region. Because I remember we started as an organization, CSN Lab started with very complex and very hard dialogue, which was Armenian-Azerbaijani dialogue. And even now I can say, during my career, I saw many failures of the different politicians and political dialogues. I saw, I witnessed many failures of economical some cooperations in our region, and not only in our region, but between conflicting countries and communities. But we still have some cultural actors very active and in contact, doing something together and trying to find some bridges and some solution in this very urgent and let's say very much militarized region. Another dialogue we organize and facilitate as an organization, it's Armenian-Turkish dialogue, and again, not easy to be in cooperation with Turkey because of different issues. First of all, it's this traumatic historical past. If we are speaking about the cultural and cultural legacy, so this trauma of genocide, it's not easy to overcome from both sides and to find some mutual understanding, but also because of different situations in political maps of the region. So the situation in Turkey also very complex on political level, and the only hope it's these independent organizations which can be in touch with you and co-create something in this cultural dialogue way. So we have regional different dialogues: Armenian, Azerbaijani, Armenian, Turkish, and Armenian Georgian dialogue, which is a super important part of our activities and our mission of our organization. And Armenian Georgian dialogue, it's mostly about the cooperation and co-creation of female artists. And we have annual program when we are traveling with our female artists and cultural practitioners to Georgia to share some outcomes of their practices in Armenia, and we are hosting Georgians. So it's one of the ways to reopen our cultures for each other. And I know Medea, she is in touch with my other colleagues, and they are quite active in the literary field, and we have many translations from Georgia and from Armenian languages to explore new literature and new literary map for these countries. So this is about this South Caucasus, or let's say South Caucasus Turkey cultural dialogues. But Medea, she mentioned a very interesting situation, let's say, about the knowledge of us, of these small nations, where we called us small nations or post-Soviet or post-socialist countries, about the knowledge about us in European countries, in Western societies, in Western cultures. And we should be honest, sometimes this colonial legacy, it's not only about the situation within these post-Soviet countries, but also it's the vision of us from West. And it's not the secret, many Georgian or Armenian departments in universities in Germany or in some Western other countries is the part of Slavic studies. And I remember we met with Medea many times during the events organized by the Slavic studies departments, which is quite strange situation. And it is really this kind of, colonial vision of us from both sides, from this side, from our inner, from our past of Soviet part, but also from Western part. And only hope it's kind of, new dialogue with West. And I know all of us were quite active in dialogue with European Union and with different European countries. And this dialogue also super important for this decolonization of the picture, of the image of us. To say, yes, we have Georgian language and it's the different language, or we have Armenian painters, or we have Belarusian artists, unfortunately in exile now, many of you. Yeah, so this is another level of dialogue, and my organization also, for us, it's one of the missions, not only regional, but also this interregional dialogues, and we have this Armenia-EU dialogue, called dialogue, and I believe all of us, we do this Armenia-EU or Georgia-EU the dialogues. So, but the situation, and I think it is also relevant for all of us, for each of you, the situation in my country is quite difficult, and you mentioned the situation with Abkhazia, with occupied territories and migrants, and we in Armenia, we hosted many refugees exiled from Nagorno-Karabakh, and it's another level of organizing cultural dialogues, and we have this Armenian dialogues we are facilitating, because the understanding of culture or democracy among Armenian society is also very, very, very diverse, and sometimes we don't have this mutual understanding even inside of the Armenian community or society. So it's another level of the needs of dialogue in the society. Yeah.
Thank you, Tigran. Yeah, it's definitely an issue, and it's crucial that we all are mentioning that it's like basically the dialogue within our own societies, which is also very much important, because like whether we are the victims of this propaganda for the centuries, unfortunately, and if the Armenian and Georgian languages are under the Slavic faculties in the European university, I can't even imagine where the Belarus would be at the moment. So Anna, I would like to ask from your experience, while you're also living in now been in exile for a while already in Germany, what is like your personal experience and how you deal with the situation, and whether you have to basically, yes, we are facing these issues of understanding whether we come from the Western world and Western countries, but you have to deal with this like on a daily basis, and whether it's hard, and if there any progress, and how, especially being now in this exile, like how do you feel it, and whether this weaponizing concepts or like cultural propaganda, is it still working, and how you're fighting this, and what are the situation at the moment?
Good question, because I'm a little bit against this weaponizing anything in our life because it's
That's what I'm basically asking. Is it like
yeah.
you feel it on a daily basis that it's
Yeah.
very strong weaponized, or is it like the understanding of the Western civilization and the Western world towards like your cultural identity, and how you are fighting this propaganda?
That's just, just through personal discussions and talks with people. Because I think that we still be in some minds, especially old generation, will still be a part of USSR and all we are Russians. And I had a lot of discussions with just, let's say, beautiful and not beautiful strangers somewhere in the parks regarding what Ukraine fighting for. That it's also very strong narrative that Russians won the Second World War. And I also have to explain that it was not Russians, it was the army consisting of the different nations, the Georgians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, whatever, took a part in it. But what I wanted to mention that because I'm based in Berlin, it's a little bit different situation, because, it always was a hub for different waves of migration, and it's really city of Babylon here. And I think that, I don't know by statistics, but my feeling is like that 50% of the inhabitants in Berlin with some kind of forced migration background, with a very deep knowledge about what the meaning of repression or exile, what does it mean. And in case of to be a cultural organization, it's a very good field, first of all, to share our own experience, to create multi-layered narratives with the people with the, let's say, sometimes very different contexts, countries, sometimes as we organized a few years ago in frames of Venice Biennial discussion about migration processes. And we had speakers from Lithuania, Ukraine, Belarus, and Iran. And the mostly closest situation we find with Iranian activists when we just started to discuss the cultural field. So I think that in situation of exile in Berlin, it definitely gives more not only for, let's say, diasporal communities, but also for different communities to be connected somehow. And when it comes to propaganda, I think that it still be some kind of high level of Russian propaganda even here in Germany. We can see from time to time these cases. But as we started our talk with the beautiful words of Tigran, that the dialogue and culture, it's very personal. In my case, it's usually the personal communication with the people. And but I wanted also to mention that how it can be like an anti-propaganda tool, because like the culture and the cultural dialogue gives us possibility to asking questions to each other, to ask some questions together, but rather not that immediately get it from I don't know, television or some news. So I think that it's a long process. Of course, it doesn't like takes just a few discussions or one conference, unfortunately. But at least I think since 2021, we are not anymore Vice Rusland here. We are not anymore Belarusia in some countries, even former Soviet countries, which is also a result of the cultural work, I think. And coming back to this question of the cultural dialogue in the times of war and conflict, just yesterday we had a presentation of publication based on the exhibition, which was organized 2 years ago in Kharkiv with the curatorial team consisting most of Belarusian artists. And yesterday we presented this book here in Berlin in publishing house Distance. So, and for us it was a project based on cultural dialogue because it was a reaction on Belarusian professional artistic community on the full-scale invasion. And quite after 24th of February 2022, we established anti-war coalition.org project, which I think became one of the best examples that even when you are a citizen of not the best friend country anymore for Ukraine, you can create the sustainable network. You can do a lot of things together. You can invite people from all over the world to enjoy this initiative. And I really hope that, I'm not sure if it can change something, but at least it can show that we can be together, we can support each other, we can openly talk about issues of why these war conflicts are existing in nowadays life, why the dictatorship are existing, through not only artistic language, not only through art, but first of all through mutual communication. So for me, the key point is just to be open to communicate and to talk about different issues.
Thank you. And you actually mentioned a very important thing that this form of a dialogue keeps the connection. That basically the other events in our life they destroy it, whether they all are focused on destroying this connection between the nations, within the societies, and so on. And I would like to address to you with the same question, basically, with the recent situation in Georgia, it's getting really tough. And unfortunately, these days, you might see also quite a big community of Georgian artists, thinkers, also in exile. But we still keep on going here, and we definitely have a very much good example. I wouldn't call it a good example, but it's an example. And it will definitely help us a lot to know like how it developed in Belarus, how it developed in Russia, first of all, before that, and how we have to avoid this all. And maybe I'll just ask you there, what's your thoughts about this, how we can sustain this? And my final question to all of you would be also to think through and what can we do? It's a very, maybe it can be an abstract question, but maybe you can just formulate this in a very kind of like a sort of, if you have any suggestions, if you have any ideas, like should we keep on going or so on. So Dea, please you first, and then I'll go in the same round to all of you with the same question.
Now in Georgia, we have events that I have read in my childhood in different books, and it's unbelievable with what we are living every day, and in what kind of resistance our colleagues, writers, artists, and our civilians are in every day. But what I want to say is that sometimes I ask Anna myself that past 50, 40 years, world is enriched with so many nice festivals, international, local festivals, film, art, books. So many nice books are written and translated, and we are talking about artists, yeah? So peaceful and human representatives of different societies, yeah? So why we have so many problems, so many wars, so many conflicts? Maybe culture and art does not invest enough efforts to make world and our societies better, because this is issue that me and my colleagues were discussing a couple of weeks ago in the frames of Dilemma Academy that Georgia was hosting in May, and this was question that we really wanted to find answers, yeah, because I think that all these organized festivals, yeah, with nice and loud events, yeah, are very, very important. But after ending all these events, yeah, our societies are continuing living with our very, very hard everyday problems, yeah, and I'm just don't want to compare ourselves and the situation in Georgia with our Ukrainian friends and colleagues and our Belarusian colleagues. Yeah, we are not now at the same stage, but nobody knows what will happen. So I think that artists have possibility and opportunity to do more, to invest more, and I'm sure that their voices will be heard locally and internationally as well. I don't want to say that Georgian artists are silent. No, I'm talking generally. Maybe we could avoid war in Ukraine. Maybe we could avoid so many conflicts worldwide if voice of culture could be more, how to say, more strong. So this is I tried to somehow answer your question, but somehow suggest you this question.
Yeah, going back to the question, thank you, Dea. Going back to the question, like what can we do or what should we do? Tigran, you and Anna, please go on with that.
I think, yeah. So in my mind, the title of the upcoming book I'm working on, and it's the small book of my interviews with different writers, and I have the Ukrainian, Georgian, Armenian writer, and I collected these interviews in Berlin, and the first draft title was Berlin Dialogues. And then I decided to change the title because I realized, you know, two different authors, they don't know each other, Georgian and Armenian, and they pronounce the same word. When I'm asking what's the reason to move to Berlin, because you are not queer artists, you are not a press community, etc., but you decided to move to Berlin. What was the main reason for you as a writer? And the same question from Armenian and Georgian authors, claustrophobia. So it is this feeling, you know, of being in small country with without any access to the world and without any access to the normal and the open communication with other cultures. That was the main reason to move and to start this, you know, very hard migration path in their career and their life. So, and I think first of all, we should open the borders and inner and external, all borders for the communication and for to be open. And this openness is a super big needs for all cultures, I think, and cultural practitioners. And you know, that's why we are super happy always when we see this announcement of these mobility programs by some European foundations, because it's the small opportunity to travel, to find some new colleagues, to know some new artistic practices or something new. So this openness and opportunity to travel and to see each other and to communicate more. It is super big needs for everyone. And I think we have to continue also as a cultural managers, as an organizations, to advocate for this cultural mobility and the openness of, and advocate for dialogue, because, you know, culture is the less funded, supported field, let's say. And we are struggling for this dialogue. It's not only, you know, in our minds and some issues or some problems with our legacy, with our society, but also it's a very concrete economical situation. And we are struggling and we are trying to find some new opportunities to support and to continue this cultural dialogue. So this is my very short answer and reaction to what should we do. Yeah.
Thank you, Tigran and Anna.
Yeah, I also wanted, partly Tigran already somehow said what I wanted to say, because without, let's say, support, it's really hard to continue any way we are doing it, as I already mentioned before. But I even see how big restrictions for the cultural budgets here in Germany for German organization. I don't say about someone from former Soviet countries. But same time, I wanted to mention that if we are talking about, let's say, cultural dialogue within, let's say, I don't like word region, but I don't know how to call all our countries. All we have such incredible expertise we can share. It's one of the good examples, as already Tigran mentioned, about this lobbying and advocacy instruments. Just months ago, we together been to Copenhagen with a presentation of the publication, which is related to research of migration processes and how the migration changed the cultural landscapes in 6 countries. And each of country presented some kind of research based on the last 5 years migration processes, as well some kind of tiny list of recommendation for political decision makers, what our needs, what the needs of cultural community. And if to talk about Belarusian situation, because you know that we have this binary, a little bit crazy stuff, because from one point of view we still have some state in Belarus, but as an exile we have another state. And I'm really happy that last few years I see the interest from this democratic Belarusian people community to more and more ask cultural community about the needs, about some strategies, about what they can also give us, and what they can at least advice for on the level of European Commission or European Parliament. I think that also important for us, if it's possible, to build the dialogues within, let's say, political decision makers and culture creators. Otherwise, it's also a very important issue of dialogue, because sometimes we are living in a totally parallel lives without any kind of understanding what we are doing as a cultural professionals and the meaning and understanding of culture on political level. And I think that it's also have to be our big effort to talk about it openly. So, yeah.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, exactly. That was one of the purposes when we created the Culture for Democracy initiative. It's not an institution so far, it's just an initiative, but that was one of the purposes which actually developed the so-called culture, the declaration of the Georgian culture, which was basically based on these general principles and concepts that the culture should address on the state level, and how we should talk to the politics, and how we should benefit both like culture and the politics from each other. And if you can just also add with some few small remarks, and if you would like to add something later on, otherwise it will be kind of going to an end of the conversation. Dea, please.
I just think that we should rethink also the role of culture and see it as a main weapon for our security, for our independence. Because I think we did not understand the main mission of the culture. It is not only writing books or organizing exhibitions. Sometimes for many Georgians, I'm talking about from Georgian perspective, sometimes we have discussions in Georgia that this kind of events in Georgia became very for very elite circles and not for general public. Yeah, so I think that culture should rethink its role and try to reach real people, young generation, leave central cities, go to rural regions, and be very close to real people and real social, how to say, situations. Not only, I'm talking about Georgian artists or writers, yeah. Even when we are inviting our international well-known artists or writers, yeah, we should talk with them, but also we should invite them to meet Georgian citizens in different regions of Georgia, because our regions are isolated from capital. And when we are observing this, can we imagine how difficult it is to be isolated, yeah, from Central European countries, yeah, small countries, yeah, like Georgia or Armenia. So I think that we should build bridges of trust with our people first.
Thank you, Dea. So just going to some conclusions. First of all, I guess that it was very much important to talk to each other. And this is, for me personally, and I hope that for you as well, it's very crucial, because sometimes we know like what we are experiencing in our own cases. But as we started with the Tigran and with the personal connection, and the dialogue is first of all the personal thing. It's actually very much important to know and to be updated to what is happening in whose life, and basically what is happening in the culture fields. And through this all information, we can actually guess what is happening in the countries and in the societies. And that's mainly also first of the responsibilities of the cultural dialogue. And that's through these personalization of the culture, personalization of the subject, and finding like real connections, maybe we will be able to address also the issues and minimize the polarization and also sustain the propaganda. And as Anna, you absolutely correctly mentioned that somehow in these days we became a source of knowledge for the different countries and different representatives, or how to deal with this Hippocratic world, how to deal with this propaganda that we grow up and we are used to it so on a daily basis, but we're still sustaining. We still have these independent societies in each of our country, and maybe in some countries not so successful anymore, and some others it's a little bit more successful, but in overall it's a very important thing that these democratic societies in all our countries are still present, whether they're in the country or they're outside. And this definitely, for me personally, it gives me hope that we are capable of sustaining this and preserving these values. And basically throughout these values, maybe eventually we will be also able to change the situation somehow. Maybe not within 2 days or 3 days, but this is a very important process and a very crucial process, I guess. And thank you all for this for your time and for being and sharing your personal, painful and less painful experiences. But we're all learning this together, and I guess it's very important for us to be. If you would like to add some small comments, please do, and then we'll go to the conclusion.
I just wanted to thank you for invitation. It was lovely to see all of you and to talk with you, and hopefully to do something together.
Absolutely, that's very important. We definitely have to keep on going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was lovely to see you. And yes, really hopefully to continue some cooperation in the region or outside of the region.
Thank you, Tigran. Thank you.